rabbis in the whole
All right. Okay, so we are on Megillat Ruth, chapter Gimel.
Oh, Gimel.
Gimel.
3.
We actually progressed. Where was
Pasuk
that?
Gimel.
You weren't here, I think that's it.
Chapter Gimel, verse Gimel. Pasuk Gimel. Okay. So Naomi realizes after 3 months of being around town in Bethlehem, Naomi realized that Boaz is not making any move to help help Ruth settle down. So she decided to take matters into her own hands. That's what happens when you don't have supervision, you know?
No, he's making it look like I didn't make him dinner.
How's mommy and baby, first of all? That's important stuff. How's mommy and baby?
Thank God.
Mommy's
thank God.
baby, Baruch Hashem.
Must be, because you're here.
Yes, Baruch Hashem. So she decides to direct Ruth to approach Boaz, but in a very modest way, not in a direct way, not in a publicly direct way. It has to be totally quiet, and he being the leader of the Jewish community, and how do you meet the leader of the Jewish community alone? Being a woman, that they're not supposed to be together alone. I mean, how exactly all of that is happening without gossip, right? Without waking up the fake news apparatus. So she figured out what was the date, the day that he's going to conclude the harvest and bring it all to the barn, and there she knew that he would be there guarding it, because that generation apparently, and especially that night, was prone to robbery, to thievery, you know. And now that all the work is done, the robbers, all they need to do is to come with a few bags and fill it up and run away. So, you know, not having alarms and all kinds of electronics at a time, the owner had to be there to stay overnight and guard it.
Things don't change.
Things don't change. So she's telling her that she needs to wash ורחצת וסחת ושמת שמלותייך עלייך ויראת הגורן אל תוודעי לאיש עד כלותו לאכול ולשתות. That she should wash around and you know, dress up, perfume yourself up, you know. I mean, just get yourself verputzt, exactly. And you should wear your special garments. We learn from it that you need to have Shabbos garment, even if people are not as wealthy and as able. They should have a special Shabbos clothing, and you should go to the barn. You should go down to the barn. And it teaches us that the barn in those days was created in the valleys, you know, so they can use the slight breeze to separate the grain from the chaff, and so don't worry about being seen, because it's a lower location and you can get there, sneak between the hills, and nobody will see you. Anybody who went to some scouting training knows that when you in the middle of the night, if you walk high up in the top of the mountains, the top of the hills, people see you, you know, against the backdrop of the sky. And if you go lower in the valleys, in the wadis, darker, nobody can see you. So that was a suggestion she gave to her.
Now, Naomi didn't want to go because it's the passage.
Naomi,
okay, now
yeah.
what about Ruth? She's younger, so how does that pass?
So there is a whole discussion of how was she able to to be with him in the same place alone, we know that it's not allowed. Yichud between a man and a woman, especially unmarried. When a woman is unmarried, you're not allowed.
At that time also?
At that time, it was not really in full. It wasn't an halacha yet. So some say it wasn't an halacha yet. Some said it was, wasn't as strict. So, but the bottom line is, no matter what, how the halacha was, she was instructed to do it in the most modest way possible. And this is what we discussed right before that. There is a psik, there is a line right after the first word, verachatz, that when she washes, the whole preparation has to be done behind a curtain, there is something mafsik, something that stops, something that separates her from the word tzniusdik. Exactly, it has to be done in a very modest way. And the rabbis are teaching us that she had to wash from her idol worship ways, which is strange.
Would it be like purify herself?
But she's already been
Purified, but
converted.
she was converted. So what's going on? Okay, so the conversion requires several steps. And the last step is going to the mikveh, which is what she was instructed to do here, to go to the mikveh and just finish the conversion. Now, there is also a cool-off period of 3 months during the conversion where she needs to be watched to see if she's not pregnant. Okay, so that is the 3 months of the harvest that she was sort of in a limbo. She accepted all the Jewish ways of living, but she was not fully converted yet until now. So
If she were pregnant, could she still go and marry Boaz?
No, we'll talk about that's a whole. It's another story.
Don't make trouble.
Now there is
When you say 3 month waiting period,
yes.
that was the rule at the time, or we're deriving that from this story?
That was the rule, and we are deriving it from this story. The rule was Torah Sheba'al Peh, but Torah Sheba'al Peh is not written; it's an oral law.
So this is the
So
first time we ever see it.
this is the place where it's being referred to. So we know that that's the way we should act. Now, there is one very interesting.
When they discuss the laws of Yibum in the Torah, that never comes up.
I don't think so. Yibum is not discussed in the Torah in regards to conversion. No, but it has to do with marrying another a grusha, someone who was divorced, or even widow. She needs to wait 3 months before she marries someone. Yeah, but this is conversion. She wasn't. Her husband died a while back. Not that long back actually. Anyway, there is another comment here that's being made. That if you I don't know if you in your books you have that marking that there is a difference between the way it's written
Yeah.
and ktiv and kri, right?
Yeah.
So it says v'samt simlotayich. We're reading it samt simlotayich. It says v'samti. So it's a different writing, and also simlotayich is missing a yud. So the rabbis are teaching us that from the simlotayich missing a yud, we learn that there is a halacha that someone who doesn't have clothing for Shabbos, special garments for Shabbos, either just happens to be on the road and he doesn't have it, or they don't have it. Period. What should they do? They need to shake their clothes in such a way that it looks nicer. That they have to, get the creases out, get themselves organized, look like a mensch, not half tucked in. They have to look like put together.
So how does the Yud show that?
And because it's missing, the Yud is missing. It's written. You read it as if it's there, but it's really missing. So she was missing the smalot, the beautiful clothes. She didn't have, a special. Golden garments, but she was told if you wear your clothes the right way after you took care of yourself, it would look like, golden garments, and you should, royal levushim. And then is the very, very interesting and apropos comment as to when to approach a man. You should not approach him until he's finished eating, drinking, is fed as well, is not, because they say a person is more amenable to be nice and to be agreeable after they had a nice dinner, full stomach, and you should make sure that he doesn't know you there. So he goes about his way, about what he does in the evening, alone, thinking that he's alone, and then you show up and introduce yourself in the following way, which is really a very interesting way to introduce oneself. Vayi b'shochvo, and after he lies down,
What pasuk are you on?
Daled. Vayehi b'shochvo, veyadat et hamakom asher yishkav sham, and you will know, you have to make sure that you know the place that he is lying down, that he is resting, that he is sleeping at. Uvat, and you should approach that spot, you should go there. Vegilit margelotav, and you should reveal his feet, his shoes, his feet. V'shachavt v'hu yagid lach et asher taseh, and then you lie down right next to his feet. So this is a primary description or proof that what was meant here was totally modest, and there were no plans of shenanigans. You can read a lot of modern commentary and all kinds of people that decides that they know better, and they create a whole plot and a whole love story and a whole seduction story from what happened here, and they're ignoring totally what's written, the text. And the text is, when someone wants to seduce someone, they don't just, go to reveal their feet and lie down there. There is a whole bunch of other methods. So, which she was told specifically not to do. Now, there is an awesome Malbim that explains exactly the pasuk, because it's very strange. Why does she have to reveal the feet altogether? Just be there. What's the
Why the feet?
What's the feet? What's the legs? So he's mentioning the Malbim over there.
Yeah.
What?
Chalitza.
Yes,
To
but
remind him.
to remind him of chalitza, right? But that's everybody, mentioned that. But there is a deeper, more kabbalistic explanation. The Malbim lived in the 1800s, learned Torah Tanista when he was young, and he has we're going to go through it and we're going to read it. So first of all, she needed to make a sign to him. She needed to signal to him that she wants him to marry. She wants him to help her with the marriage situation. So she didn't just show up standing, here I am. Maybe she's coming to ask, how to kosher the chicken. So she needed to give him a sign without demanding directly, because that's not modest, that's not fitting. So she needed a sign. So that was the sign. Now,
Covering his feet was the sign?
that was a sign, right? Now, but this is let's just peel the onion a little more. Now, the Kabbalistic explanation is that the neshama, the soul, needs somewhere to be in. The soul cannot live in a world, in a physical world, without some housing, some place to be. And that is the casing for the neshama is the body. And the body is considered like a shoe to the neshama. To protect, to house it, to let it, to get the neshama to places where it cannot get there without the shoe. Just like us, if we want to walk somewhere, if we walk barefoot, it's less likely that we're going to get there without puncturing our feet. So it's the shoe is the casing for the neshama, and we see it when there is a situation where the place is holier, like when Moshe stood in front of the burning bush, he was told, "Shal na'alecha mal raglecha." Now you should take the shoe off from the feet because you don't need a casing. Here is a spiritual place. You don't need protection. The Kohanim in Bet HaMikdash was walking around barefoot for the same reason. It's a holier place. You don't need casing. You don't what?
Even Duchning.
Duchanin as well. Exactly. So now a person, and this is very interesting. It has to do with Gilgul Neshamot, etc. A person that dies without children, the neshama of that person doesn't know rest. And because a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, are two halves of one neshama, the neshama of the deceased, of the husband that died, resting in the body of the woman, of the wife, of the widow, and sort of restless that she doesn't have, the neshama doesn't have descendants. And when the wife, the widow, get married and have children, that neshama comes out in the body of the child that she gave birth to with another man. So the baby that will come out of Ruth, which is Oved ben Ruth, is actually Machlon ben Naomi. He has the neshama of Machlon ben Naomi. So the father that did not gave him birth. And how do we know it? Because at the very end, after the boy is born, after Oved is born, the language over there is, it's a ben that was yulad to Naomi. Naomi, it's a son that as if Naomi gave birth to the son of Ruth. They're not related anymore. She's just a mother-in-law. So how can that be the ben of Naomi? Because it's the grandson of Naomi, spiritually speaking, because it's the neshama of Machlon, of her son. That's how the relationship to Naomi is real.
So what happens to Boaz?
So there is a whole discussion about Gilgul Neshamot and how, and the Neshama is made out of several components. It's not for now, mainly because I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I'm just mentioning the Malbim that mentions that. So now,
But in a zug, you have half a neshama per person.
It's a half a neshama in a sense that when you have a candle, you can light another candle from it without diminishing from the first candle. Okay, right? A fire, you can light another fire and another fire and another fire. The neshama is like that. It's not like a watermelon that you cut it in half, so you have two half of watermelons. The neshama is a little different being. You can have half a neshama and another half a neshama, and they're also whole neshamas, in and of itself. They're not being diminished. Anyway, now what's happening here? But if the person, the Yavam, the person who's supposed to marry the widow, does not want to marry her, she is remaining without a shoe. That neshama is remaining without a shoe. That's why it's either you marry the widow, or we take your shoe away to signify that you're bet chalutz anal, you are the house of a shoeless person, because you created this kind of a situation where there is a neshama that's hanging around. You have the responsibility to bring it here to this world in a casing, in a body, and you just not responding to the call, and let that neshama remain remain in limbo. Exactly.
So we're assuming that Boaz is the closest relative.
So Boaz was the second closest relative, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be the closest relative. If the closest relative doesn't want, they being marked as refuseniks, that they don't want to marry, bet chalutz anal, and it goes to the next one. She is not being left in limbo if there are several.
What if Boaz had been married?
What?
What if Boaz had been married?
It does in those days. People were able to have multiple wives. It was before the cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom, so that was not the issue. Anyway, so that's the reason that's right, which was expired about 5 years ago. Just so you know, 5 or 10 years ago. So what's happening here is that she was giving him all these signals with the shoe, with the feet. She was revealing the feet in order to make him understand that this is what she is talking about. She's talking about Yibum here. She's talking, and what? That's why she's there. So it wasn't about seducing. It wasn't about creating problems where there is none. It's about reminding him of the duty that he has because he is a relative. Now, and then he will. So Naomi is telling her, and then he will realize what he needs to do, and he will tell you what you should do. So, ותאמר אליה כל אשר תאמרי אליי אעשה. So Ruth is responding to this plan of action that was introduced by Naomi, and telling her, I am 100% behind you. I'm going to do anything that you tell me, because she really felt that Naomi had her good intentions and wanted her the best for her, so she will follow all of her instructions, even if she doesn't understand them fully. Because it's very difficult to believe or to understand. The truth knew already all the Kabbalistic explanations of why and how. Naomi did. She was a learned person, but Ruth might not have yet known all of that. So I'll do whatever you tell me. Reveal the feet, no problem. Wear nice clothes, go, fine, no problem. Now then we see that she does change a little bit. ותרד הגורן, פסוק ו', ותעש ככל אשר ציוותה חמותה. So Naomi told her first, go wash around and get yourself dressed nicely, and then go to the Goren, then go to the barn. Here she goes to the barn first and then does all of those things. Again, because Ruth was super modest and she really didn't want to walk around in such a way, even if it's night and even if it's lower places and there is less probability that she's going to be seen, she rather not go there, and so that's what she did. But she followed everything else that Naomi, her mother-in-law, told her to do, and so now she's in a barn, and Boaz finished his days of work, and this is the last day of the harvest, and he ate, and he ate in a more celebratory way. And Vayochal Boaz, Vayesht, Vayitav libo. So Boaz ate and drank, and he was happy, with a happy heart. So a lot of the commentaries are troubled or offering an explanation. What does it mean, Vayitav libo, that he was with a happy heart? And let's first mention a few of them, and then we'll see, and then we'll talk about why. So one of the prevailing, the most common explanation is that because it was the end of the famine. If you recall, the Elimelech, they left to begin with because a multi-year famine. Now the famine was broke, and so they saw that it's going towards a better situation because things grew. They were not harvested yet, but they grew. So the word came to Naomi in Moab that there is no famine anymore, and she just lost the men in the family, the two kids, the two sons and the husband, and she decided to come. So, but whatever was growing, it was not usable until after the harvest. So the famine actually just broke. What? 10 years. Yeah, 10 years famine. The famine just actually broke now. Now that we harvested and we have the food, now the famine was officially over. So for that, he was very thankful to God, and he wanted to celebrate it with some market, with an obvious, l'chaim, with an obvious party. Now he was a very rich man, Boaz. His family was rich. He had many fields. He also had the fields of Elimelech. He was not really going hungry. Even though there was famine all around, he was not hungry. So what's happening here? So the commentators are saying that, number one, he saw that everybody else was hungry, so he was not sitting at home, under the bed with a big pulke and enjoying his life. He was participating in the pain of the rest of the community and was also suffering. That's number one. Number two, when there is famine, even if someone eats a lot, they're not getting satisfied, because whatever is growing does not have the nutrients. It's not the same when you eke in from the ground a couple of stalks and you make a bread from that. It's not the same quality bread that you would make otherwise, and people are that, and on top of it, so people are not getting satisfied with that, and on top of it, it's when the mood out there is ochun vei, that everybody is walking around hungry. You can't have a menuchat nefesh. You can't sit and enjoy a good meal when the whole place is on fire, when the whole place is going to pot. So now, when everybody had food, the harvest was very successful all around. He was able to sit and say, "Ve'achalta ve'savata uverachta." Right? There is a when we say Birkat Hamazon, we say "Ve'achalta ve'savata uverachta al haaretz hatova asher natan lach." That we have to give blessing to God. We have to thank God for giving us this great land. So once you enjoy the land, once he ate from the harvest, then he was able to really thank God with a full stomach, which is what we're supposed to do when we bench after a meal. Now, all of the commentaries are talking about this Vaitav Libo, that he was eating and with a happy heart and had fun and felt good about it. And the question is, why are they so troubled by it? Why should we complain when it's good? Why should we complain when you can eat and enjoy and have fun? Why is that a problem? So there is an intro, which hopefully I'll get through today, that explains.
Lest they think that the Tafli bows because Ruth is there.
So he didn't see her yet. Because Vatavo Balat, it's only later, and Vayik Bachatzi Alayla. He was not aware of Ruth being there at all right now. Some say that he drank, he drank wine, and that was he was sleeping was heavy, so he didn't hear her sneaking in. But he was alone. Now, but they say that no. I mean, the most say that he did not drink wine to a point that it affected him in that way, because when someone drinks wine that way, it says "Vaitav libo bayain," like about Achashverosh, and he didn't say Vaitav. He says Vayesh and then Vaitav libo. He drank, it's not sort of connected. It's two separate events.
And it's also Bachatzi Halayla is maybe the darkest part of the night.
Bachatzi Halayla is later. That's coming. So the world in general is being divided into two sides: the side of holiness Sitra de Kedusha, the side of spirituality, of holiness, of godliness, and Sitra Achra, the side of the other side, the side of not holiness, of physicality, evil, all kinds of things that are not holy.
So what's the word? What's the Hebrew word?
It's not Hebrew, it's in Aramaic. It's Sitra Achra. Sitra Achra, the other side. And now, everything in this world belongs either to this side or to the other side. Now, the two sides are not equal in quantity. Most of this world, the vast majority of this world, is Sitra Achra side, is the other side, is the bad side, and only a small portion is the holy side. However, there is a rule that a little bit of light can offset a lot of darkness. You have a little candle, you can see in a big room what's going on, and you can walk around, and it offsets the effect of a lot of darkness. So when we do mitzvah, when we learn, when we live according to Torah, that little bit that we do can offset a lot of evil events and a lot of bad stuff that occurs all around the world. Because if you just count them, it's quality, right? It's not quantity at all. Now, we have things in the world. There are three types of things in the world. That has to do about that objects are divided to, and events are divided to, and actions are divided to. And that is, number one is dvar mitzvah, things that we have to do. God commanded us to do, and we do it. We light candles, we keep Shabbos, we put on tefillin, we read the Torah, whatever is that. All of those, the 613 mitzvot, those are all actions that are being done for and in the area of Sitra de Kedusha, that belongs to the holy side of the world, obviously. And then you have two other types. And the two other types are things that are asur, that are not allowed and forbidden, and things that are mutar, that are allowed. Okay? Now, what does it mean, asur and mutar? So, asur and mutar, we know it as forbidden and allowed. You're allowed to do it, you're not allowed to do it. In Hebrew, however, the word asur is also shackled. Beit asurim is jail. Okay? So, the things that is asur is shackled, is tied, is in chain, hooked up to where? To the bad side. To the sitra achra, to the side that cannot be, that is not the side of holiness. There are things that are created in this world that we cannot help. That no matter how much light we come up with, how much good intentions we have to improve the world and to bring it up, there are certain things that we cannot help. Davar acher, chazer, we cannot. You cannot what? You can redeem a chazer. You can redeem a pork. You can say a broche on it and sit with a talis and fill and eat pork and things that you do so that you bring it to holiness, and then run to shul and do something good with that energy. You can. Why? Because this type of food is shackled, is in jail in the sitra achra, in the other side, and we cannot redeem it. What is mutar? It's unshackled, right? Matir asurim, right? That's the bracha that we say in the morning. Untie the arrested, so to speak, right? So matir asurim is we have something that mutar, that is untied, and therefore what happens with it? It's not that it's not in jail. It is in jail, but it's not tied to jail. We can take it out of jail. We have to redeem it. It's not just walk, the untied, they cannot just walk out of jail on their own. We have to lift it, we have to pick it up and bring it over to the holy side. And this is what we do when we eat things that are allowed. We have refreshments here. They're allowed. We can redeem them. Now, we can keep them in jail if we don't say a brocha, or if we eat them for our own benefit to, just to have fun and party and without any holy intention. Or we can say a brocha and redeem it and lift it and bring it to the right side, to the side of Kedusha. Now, the fact that we have all these items that are allowed give us an amazing amount of responsibility. It's almost daunting because everything that we do in the world which is allowed, it has to be for a good purpose. Otherwise, we're just fueling it and keeping it in jail, keeping it in the sitracha, keeping it on the other side. We can't just do things with inertia, without reasoning, or for the benefit of our, the gluttonous, or to just enjoy ourselves. It has to have a holy purpose to it. Very hard to do. And the Chassidut was the Alter Rebbe was mentioning at one point, was a common saying of his: whatever is not allowed, whatever is asur, is not allowed, and whatever is mutar is not needed. Whatever is mutar is miyutar. Whatever, you just avoid it. Why? Because unless you have the wherewithal to really do the job right, don't think that you're doing anything good by just,
Avoiding the bad.
right. We just keep feasting and feeding the beast instead of feeding our holy soul that's within us. So it requires a tremendous responsibility and tremendous strength, and it's not easy. Now let's go back to Boaz. Boaz was just about to go to sleep. He was just about to go to sleep. There is Seva Adom in Israel, Oivei. Boaz was just about to go to sleep, and it's not a time. There's no tachlis. There was not a time to. It's not that he needed food in order to daven, in order to learn. He was going to sleep, and also medically we know that it's not good to eat like a big meal before you go to sleep. So why is it after he ate and slept that he had a good heart, that he enjoyed himself? He was a holy man. He was definitely a person that knew how to do these things, how to elevate the mutar from the world, from maybe the domain that can go either way, and bringing it to the holy side. So what was he doing? And that's the reason they're struggling with what was he doing here. So here we're saying it was actually a Sudat Mitzvah. He was actually thanking God for saving Am Yisrael. This is in and of itself a Sudat Mitzvah. Thanking God. He gave us after 10 years a field full of grain, and we have what to eat and what to celebrate with. So we have to do it. It's a mitzvah mideoraita. The Torah is commanding us to act that way. So that is the reason he was eating that way, and he was doing what was he, and he was acting that way. So let's just try to finish the pasuk. ויבוא לשכב בקצה הערימה. So he went to rest not at the top of the mount, of the mountain of grain, but on the side of it. Typically, if you want a comfortable place to sleep, you put your clothing on a big heap of grain, and that's very comfortable. It's like a mattress. But he was not, again, showing us that everything that he did was not to benefit his, to feel good about himself. So he went to the corner, where it's not that comfortable, where it's really on the ground, b'ktzei ha'arima. And that's where he was resting. To sort of contrast what we said before, Vaitav Libo, the Vaitav Libo was not for himself. So there was an ulterior motive for it. But to sleep like a king, there was no reason for at the moment, so he didn't do it. Vatavo balat, so she came very quietly. Balat is a word that's appearing several times, and it has a connotation not only of quiet, but also trickery and wonder. We see it when the servants or the magicians of Paro did the magic like Moshe Rabbeinu did. Vayasu belatehem. They did wonder with their magic, and it's the same root, balat belatehem. So she came sort of in a trickery way, because he was there to guard against people sneaking in and stealing his merchandise, right? So, and here she is showing up and is right at his feet. How did she do it? So it was some wondering that she was able to do something that above and beyond just walking in. Vatigal margelotav vatishkav, and she's revealing the feet, again, not to create, not to steer his emotions, and not to steer him to do a wrong thing in the middle of the night with a woman in a barn alone in a field. So she's just really going according to the letter of the advice that she got from Naomi. And by the way, this is the apparently this is the half of the book in Psukim.
Binding.
Yeah, and the binding, it's half of the book.
Yeah.
It's half of the book in Psukim, and then it says Vayehi b'chatzi halayla. So that's in the middle of the night, which is also the middle of the book. He wakes up. What happened b'chatzi halayla? Why did he wake up b'chatzi halayla?
His feet were cold.
His feet were cold. No.
He had to go to the bathroom.
She uncovered it. Yeah. So b'chatzi halayla.
He thought that somebody was tickling his feet.
We know that 3 times we mentioned b'chatzi halayla. There was b'chatzi halayla when Yetziat Mitzrayim. There was b'chatzi halayla when Shimshon woke up and took the gates of Gaza and unrooted them and took them all the way to Hebron to show the Philistines. And here is the 3rd time that we have. So this is a monumental event that just happened. It's like a wonder and the level of Yetziat Mitzrayim and whatever happened to Shimshon HaGibor. Vayehi b'chatzi halayla, that he woke up. Now what happened b'chatzi halayla? What happened b'chatzi halayla is that's when we say tikkun chatzot. Okay, b'chatzi halayla, there are some spiritual moves, chess moves that are happening in heaven to welcome the new day, to things that are happening to regenerate the energy for the next day. A lot is happening b'chatzi halayla in the middle of the night. What? And what? And we learn, yes, and there is a whole list, and exactly there is a piyut in the Agadah of what happened b'chatzi halayla, and there is a listing of things, but those are the manifestation of those events in this world. It's not what happened in heaven. In heaven, it's more a spiritual thing. Now, holy people, tzaddikim, like Boaz, they have sensors, they have receivers that we don't have. And they feel those things, that, the things are happening in heaven, they feel it. And he felt what happened, that this is a time of tikkun chatzot, it's a time to wake up and serve God. There is a special prayer that...
What is
Tikkun chatzot is a special prayer that's being said in the middle of the night. That tikkun means to fix, and it's a way to fix things that we did wrong the day before and prepare ourselves for the day after, for the following day. So tikkun chatzot is you hear a lot of stories about those rabbis that sit on the floor and with a candle and they cry and they do tikkun chatzot and they do tshuva because the gates of heaven are open at the time, and it's a very special time. Very
Is it midnight or
midnight tikkun chatzot halayla, yeah.
Chatzot.
I know, but sometimes.
So they, yeah, no. It's midnight, the middle point of the night, halachic midnight, which is around 12:30 to 1, depending on the
Halfway
side.
between nightfall and-
Yeah. Between sunset to sunrise, exactly. Excuse me. So, ויהי בחצי הלילה, ויחרד האיש, so he was shaken. וילפת, והנה אישה שוכבת מרגלותיו. He was shaken because he wakes up to such a holy, he feels the holiness in heaven, and here he has this temptation, this woman, he didn't know who she was. You know, there was dark in a barn in the middle of the field. What is going on? It was very, and vailafet. So he was shook. It's not shook up. He became energyless, powerless. He felt like he was drained from all of his power. And you know, it says lefet is some sort of a lettuce type. Turnip, whatever it's what? Turnip, whatever it's. He felt that there is a situation coming here, and he needed to know, you know, what's going on. I guess we'll deal with that next time. Yeah. So, suspense to be continued, exactly.